Hey friends, so today we are talking Valentines. So we are going to be using our Cricut Maker and our scoring wheel, and I'm going to show you how to upload designs straight into Design Space and use the print then cut feature. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to show you. It's actually really simple. It's just a little scary to some people. It was scary to me in the beginning, but it is really easy, and once you learn how to do it, you're going to love it. You are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and I'll meet you in Design Space. So I've gone to Design Space, I've opened up a new project, and I am now going to upload the designs that are linked down at the bottom of this video. So over in the left-hand side, you're going to see New, Templates, Projects, Images, Text, Shapes, and Upload. So we want to upload. Okay. So on this screen, I've actually already uploaded the 3 pieces that I want to use, but I want to show you how to upload these. One is an SVG file, and that is our cut file. The other 2 are JPEGs, and those are going to be our print then cut files. So down below in that link, go in and grab those files and save them to your computer, hit upload, and then you're going to browse your computer for those files. So for me, they're right here, and I'm going to upload each one. Okay, so for uploading this image, because this is again a print then cut, I'm going to choose complex, although moderately complex will most likely do it. We'll go moderately complex. There is no pattern behind it. So you hit continue, and then I'm going to use this magic erase function basically, and I'm just selecting the areas that I know are not supposed to be cut, okay, or printed. So that's the background, and then inside this loop of soda. And so, okay, that looks pretty clean. So we're going to hit continue. And now what this is doing is it's showing you if you want it to be a print then cut, this is what it's going to look like. If you want it to be a cut image, this is what it's going to look like. On the right, I want it to be a print then cut. So I'm going to select the first, and then you can name it or tag it anything that you like. I'm just going to do Valentines and hit save. Now, of course, I'm going to have more than one of these in my system now, and you can delete anything. Like if you use something or you upload it and it just doesn't quite work out right or the way that you want it to, you can always delete those, and you just use the small I there to delete that. Now you're going to do the same thing with the other ISO to Think You're Cute file. And then we also want to upload this SVG. So let's hit upload image again. Browse. Okay, so my SVG right here. So you see that this is a shape and it has a score line here. When we bring that in, even though it's grouped in Illustrator, it's going to bring it in as 2 separate pieces. This is okay, don't worry about it. And again, you can tag it Valentine if you like, or whatever other naming convention you like to use. It's automatically going to name the image file what it is on the system when you upload it. Okay, so now we have all of those in the system, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my SVG, and I'm going to use this one, ISO to Think You're Cute, as the example that we're going to do today. Okay, so now you can see it pulls in large, crisp, anything that you saw on the before screen when you thought maybe it wasn't high res enough, it's going to be high res. It's going to be beautifully printed. This is actually 7 inches tall by almost 5 inches wide, and we of course don't need it nearly that large. Okay, so for this other item, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up, this is the tag or the bottle label. I'm going to go up and ungroup it. Okay, so what that's going to allow me to do is move this score line. And you can place it where you like, but what I like to do, let's move it. I like to use my grid. Okay. So then I can use my score line, and I'm going to place it just roughly right there. And so then I'm going to highlight those two. And wait, before I do that, what I want to do is show you this. So you go up to that score line. You don't want it to be a cut line. You want it to be a score line. So in layer attributes, you're going to make that a score line. Do you see how it turned it to a dash? That's what you want. Now these other two, for whatever reason, just hide those. It's also just part of the score line. I'm not quite sure why, but it pulled those two small dashes in as separate lines. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hide those. If you wanted to leave them there and make that a score, that's perfectly fine as well, but I'm just going to hide them. Okay, so now I'm going to highlight both of those items and I'm going to group them. Okay, so let's talk about our shape, our bottle label, and what kind of paper you're going to use. So if you have some beautiful paper at home that you want to use, or if you just want to use a white cardstock, that's perfectly fine too. But if you don't have something that you'd like to use, if you select that image and you go into your palette, if you look above, you see cut, so that's basically saying, yes, I'm going to cut my own paper. But if you don't have any gorgeous paper or you want something a little more fun than what you have, go over to print, and this is going to show you colors, but it's also going to show you patterns. And this is a really great feature of Design Space that I'm not sure a lot of people use, but this is a lot of fun because you can then coordinate or create something super special, and you don't even have to go to the craft store to buy papers. And you know how it is. I tend to go and then I can't find the paper that I want. I have something, you know, already in my head that I want to make. So if you can search this, or if you scroll down, they actually have some Valentine ones pretty close to the top. I love a plaid or a gingham, so you could use something like that. See, it just pops it right onto the image. You could use these dots. These are really cute. I'm thinking I might use the dots for this one. So you select that, and now this item, along with the I Soda Think You're Cute, those are both going to be print then cut pieces. And if you decide that you want to use your own paper, all you have to do is go back up with this highlighted and select cut. But that's going to place that pattern onto your label. And then what you need to do is you take your print then cut item and you just need to put it over top of the label here and make sure that it's sized appropriately. So let's see what this looks like. And that's the other thing I love about Design Space is you can sort of play around with it and, you know, see what you like. So that looks pretty cute, right? I'm really digging that. So I want to go ahead, if you've not already at this point, and save my project. And I'm going to just name mine, Soda Valentine. Okay. And now once that is saved, I just feel more comfortable that I'm not going to lose my work. Now that this is saved, I am going to go ahead and hit Make It and look at it on the mat and see what it's going to do. Make sure that everything that I've done worked out the way that I wanted it to. So this is great. So here you see we have a print then cut, and both of those items are showing up just the way I want them to. But then we look down and we see the score is all by itself. It's going to score on a normal sheet of paper alone, and that's not what we want, is it? Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and go back and hit cancel. Now that we're back on our canvas, let's fix that problem. Okay, so we're back on our canvas, and I showed you this on purpose because little things like this can get us really frustrated when we're crafting. So this is a super simple fix. What you're going to do is highlight your I Soda Think You're Cute, and we're just going to hide it for a minute. So now that that's hidden, I want to select, or you can go up and hit select all. I want to select my two items, and we're going to go down and just hit attach. So now it knows that the score needs to happen on that label. Okay, so now that that's done, we just click off of it, and then we're going to go back and unhide our top, and they will both go to matte, but if it bothers you that it's behind, you can hit arrange and send to front, so you can sort of look at it one more time and just make sure it's exactly the way you want it to be. Okay, and so now let's select Make It. Okay, so now we're back to our mats, and you see that that score line is no longer on its own. It's now part of the Print Then Cut. And so now all we need to do is put some white cardstock in our printer and make sure that we have our scoring wheel in our Cricut machine, and let's make a bottle label. Okay, so when you get to this screen, you're going to either connect your machine or your machine's already going to be connected, and mine's already connected. And then at this point, you're going to see this, print images on a printer of your choice. So you're going to send it to printer. Then in step 2, you're going to be able to select your material, load tools and mat, and press go. So in this first step, if you have already printed it, so say you've been working on something and you got it printed, but you didn't have an opportunity to cut it yet, you're okay. You don't have to go through that whole process again. We haven't printed, but if you had, you can select I've already printed, and then it'll just hop down to the next piece, and the machine is going to be able to read those marks on your print, so it's still going to cut beautifully. So let's go ahead and send to printer though. Okay, and so you'll see here you have print to PDF, copies, and then add bleed. So if you wanted to, wanted to print more than one of these or make more than one, and I'm actually going to make several, but if you wanted to, you could do multiple copies of it here. And then the bleed is always a great idea because it basically puts a little bit more, you can see on the soda here how that looks more pink or more red, and that's because it's given it a bleed. So whenever the machine cuts your piece out, you don't see white around that lettering. Okay, so we have our bleed, and now let's go ahead and print. Making sure everything's right. Now while that is printing, we can select our material. And again, this is just cardstock. I already have it saved in my favorites, but if you don't, you can browse all materials and select cardstock. So this is the printer that I use for my Print Then Cut. It's a Canon, and I'll link it down below so that you guys can have a look at it if you'd like to see more. But you can see how it's spitting out this beautifully printed piece. Yay! Okay, so let's have a look at what printed out really quickly. So you see how the D in soda and the tip of think and your are bulkier. That is your bleed. It's supposed to be that way, and when the machine cuts it out, it will look perfect. Okay, so now our item is printed and we're back on Design Space, and the third step is to load the tools in the mat. So we are going to be using a scoring wheel in Clamp B. And now if you're using an Explore Air, you can use the stylus, but we're using the Maker, so we're using the scoring wheel. And the scoring wheel comes with two pieces, a 01 and a 02. So for this project, we're using the 01. So let's put that into the Maker and load our mat. Okay, this is our scoring wheel for the Maker. And as I mentioned, it has two different pieces. There is the 01 and the 02. We are using the 01, which you can see right there. Now, if for some reason I wanted to use the 02, you simply push in the top and change it out. So let's insert that into the machine. Okay, so the scoring wheel goes in Clamp B. And this is where your normal blade is, so we're going to take that out and put in the scoring wheel. And we'll close it back. And now it's time for us to go ahead and load our mat. And I have put our Print Then Cut piece on the mat. And if your mat isn't as tacky as you think it should be, I sometimes will just put a clear piece of Scotch tape or something around the side to hold it in. And then we'll hit go. So I wanted to show you this really quickly. So when you're doing print then cut, your machine is basically reading these exterior lines and it's reading the interior ones too. So it knows exactly where to cut. So that's what the machine is doing right now. And as soon as it's done that, then it will go ahead and score and it will pause and you will change the scoring blade or the scoring wheel over to your blade to cut the design out. Okay, it's ready for us to change blades. We simply put the blade back in and select go. Okay, it's done and ready for us to unload the mat. Perfect, how cute is that? And the score, just set this to the side to show you that the score is there. That super simple, easy score. And back to the mat, our tag. Look how perfect that is. The T, the E, the D, perfectly cut. Okay, so I went ahead and made a few more of these. I wanted to test out this other pattern, and so I just made a couple more, plus my packaging for my bottles had 4 in them. So again, these scores are absolutely perfect, super simple to do. And then I wanted to also show you guys that I like to use, see again, perfect cut. I like to use these 3D foam squares on all of my paper crafting, just to give them a little dimension, a little bit more fun. Super simple to do. Take your cardstock, flip it over, put a couple of these 3D foam squares on them, and then put them onto your soda label. How stinking cute is that? Okay, and so I'll put these onto my bottles and give them away. Oh, and the other thing is I meant to mention, of course, when your kids are giving these at school, I would just get like, you know, a pink Sharpie or something like that and let the kids write their name on them before you put them onto the 3D foam squares, just because they get a little uneven. But who wouldn't want to get this, right? I so do think you're cute. Okay friends, so I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed crafting with you, and I hope this opens you up to print then cut and that you'll do tons more crafts with this feature, and I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of our future videos. I'll see you next time. And I hope that you blah blah blah. That's what happens when you're in here. That's what happens when you're in here. Subscribe button and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of our future videos. Go away.
You're doing good, right?
I know, it's just I feel you staring at me.
Just so I know what I can do.
And my husband is like in my studio. It's like, go away. Okay.